Welcome to the Cafe Night Show. I'm your host, the Goldsmith. It is the third of October, 2024, and it's here. It's about time, and I think people have been waiting for it. And what we are at, or where we are, is Sparklet Weekends coming back to the game of Upland. And this has been something that's been speculated on how the release of Sparklet, the TGE, all of those things are going to play a role in the future of Sparklet Weekends. Sparklet Weekends had been suspended for a while. They had been happening without there being any Sparklet release. But again, there was no Sparklet bonus for leveling up for a number of weeks, another number of months, actually. And that's because after the TGE, there was this question of stabilization of Sparklet and the new dispensation of Sparklet for leveling up. How did that all play together? Obviously, things have stabilized a bit post the TGE, post the release of Sparklet being exchangeable on exchanges. And now Sparklet Weekends are making a return with some keynotes here along the way of what they're going to look like. Also, Stock Car Pro Series sale registration open now for race 9. We'll get into that and the details there and how to participate. And that's about it. And that's enough. That's enough because, again, we did just start a new season, the season of, or the harvest season, in Upland. We had a couple new things come in. We did have the neighborhood scores coming in. We did have a couple of new things with the season, or the new pieces that came in with the season. And I'm happy. I'm happy to have two pieces for today. We'll get into those. All views and opinions expressed by myself, they're mine and mine alone, should not be taken as game strategy or financial advice. They represent the game of the team of Upland. Any guests or contributors who we do have on, they have their own opinions. They are welcome to them. They should not be taken as game strategy advice. They should not be taken as financial advice. They represent myself, the Goldsmith of the Cafe Night of the Show. They don't represent necessarily the game or the team of Upland. That is easy. Let me get one thing up before I get too far ahead of myself, and that is getting Upland up so we can see a couple interesting things in Upland, which is nice when there's interesting things to see in Upland. Jumping to the announcement. Again, first announcement, first and foremost. Again, it's been a little bit something people have been waiting for. Upland has discussed it as part of Sparklet, as part of the sale of Sparklet, the Sparklet going on exchanges, that there would eventually at some point be Spark or Sparklet available for sale in Upland. Again, it has not been for sale for months and months in the game of Upland because of the TGE, and we couldn't have Sparklet sold or Spark sold immediately before the Spark exchange or the Spark listing. Immediately after the Spark listing, obviously could not have it for sale in the game of Upland due to the fluctuations of Sparklet at the time. So now it's coming back, and we'll get to the holistic idea of why we have Spark Weeks and what they were all about. And now we're having Sparklet Weekends, and that was a task that we got into. But let's take a look at the announcement and then look at the holistic view of how this all came back together. Now that Sparklet is well established on the exchanges, we're making some changes to how Sparklet Weekends work. First, starting tomorrow, Sparklet will be available directly in the Upland store in-app. No more registration required. That's a whoop whoop. Even better, buying through the app gives you a slight discount thanks to the reclaim requirements. Check out the full details here. We're going to get into them. We'll get into a couple things. I will come back with a couple thoughts about the sale of Sparklet coming back at the game. And again, this idea without registration. And the idea without registration is, okay, now what's the quantity? Now, how is that going to work? And all of that, we'll get into that in a little more detail. But let me get here and get started. Again, the availability of Sparklet on exchanges, it hit a key milestone in Upland's journey to becoming an ultimate Web3 platform for gamers. And I apologize when I say N. Upland says the ultimate Web3 platform for gamers, creators, entrepreneurs, and more. Now that Sparklet is well established on the exchanges, we're excited to introduce some updates to how in-game Sparklet Weekends will be working moving forward. Sparklet update. Moving forward, Sparklet will be available in the Upland store in-app, again, with no registration. Even better, buying through the app gives you a slight discount on the market price thanks to the reclaim requirements. Quantities will be limited initially We'll review and replenish them periodically. The Upland store price will be based on the average market price for the past 2 weeks. Yeah, that makes sense. We'll get into that idea. I don't like to speculate on what the price is going to do up or down, but we can look at the market forces and we can look at where things currently seem to set. So you're always trying to give you a fair deal on the sale of Sparklet. Fair. The store price won't change, but the number of tokens included may be adjusted depending on market fluctuations. Again, how many tokens are available over the course of the weekend? Obviously, depending on what the market's doing, the market goes way up or down, or whatever the case is, we can see the number on the market change, and some get added or some get removed from the store. The token amount will always be listed in the store. Again, that's the price, and what you're buying and what you're paying. Reclaim requirements. To reclaim earned or purchased Sparklet in Upland, you can only reclaim what you've staked for at least 720 hours, 30 days in the past 3 months, excluding the past 30 days. Oh, so that means that the reclaim requirements are essentially you staked it at 720 hours, that Sparklet, for in the past 3 months, excluding the last 30 days. So in 60 days prior to the last 30, did you stake it for half that time? Essentially, this rule doesn't apply to uploaded Spark. Okay, just earned and purchased. Next, Sparklet weekends are back. During each weekend in the season, players can earn bonus Sparklet rewards for leveling up. These weekends are designed to offer regular opportunities to level up and enhance your gameplay. Keep in mind that Sparklet weekends will pause during the inter-season weeks. Again, every weekend during a season. That's what we are looking at for Sparklet weekends. That's what we've been doing previously, making the weekends within each season even more special. Again, why are we treating in season and the 2 weeks in between differently? Again, those 2 weeks in between seasons, in between harvest season and Wonderland season, the 2 weekends, 2 weeks in between sizzle season and harvest season, those could have been used for special events. And again, Upland has been limited about what special events they're doing in that 2-week intermission, but it would be nice that we could do something that's outside of the regular season, outside the regular flow of the game of Upland. Good to see it. More cheese. Glad you can make it. Something that could be different and differentiated from what's happening inside that season. And hopefully Upland does more with those 2 weeks intermissions. For the first level up weekend, we've adjusted the schedule to accommodate some important updates. The event will run from Friday, October 4th at 9 a.m. PT to Sunday, October 6th at midnight PT. Make sure to mark your calendars and get ready to level up. Okay, easy enough. So the Sparklet weekend, level up for Sparklet rewards. This runs almost exactly the same as our previous Sparklet weekends. Keep in mind that we had Spark weekends and Sparklet weekends. The difference between a Spark weekend and a Sparklet weekend is language and the denominations and how we are using them. First and foremost, we do have a special bonus for visitors to go to Uplander during Sparklet weekends only, not during regular play. Keep in mind, leveling up always is going to get you a reward for certain status levels. For example, if you go from pro to director, from director to executive, from executive to chief executive, you're always going to get a certain amount of Sparklet you earn as a reward. However, that amount is going to be increased during the Sparklet weekends, and for Uplander to Pro and Visitor to Uplander, you're getting a reward which you wouldn't receive if you're outside of those Sparklet weekends. The reward, it could be considered significant. It's 30 Sparklet for a visitor upgrade and Uplander. Keep in mind, 30 Sparklet, it could be 3 weeks worth of checking in every single day, or if you get lucky, one week of checking in every single day, depending on where your luck lies. Uplander to Pro is 120 Sparklet, again, normally at 0, so it's a pretty good deal. For Pro to Director, it's usually 500. It was 600 during Sparklet week. Ends and Director to Executive, 1,000 normally, 1,200 during Sparklet weekends. And finally, Executive to Chief Executive, 2,000 normally, 2,400 during Sparklet weekends. That's a 20% boost. Not a bad deal. Here are some important details to keep in mind to prepare for the next phase of Sparklet and Upland. Cooldown. All Sparklet purchase in-game will have the same reclaim restrictions as all other in-game Sparklet. So if you have Sparklet, if you earned it, if you purchased it, you have to stake it during the last 90 days. The prior 60 days to the last 30, say within the last 9-day period, you need to have staked that essentially half the time. So 720 hours out of the previous 2 months. And the easiest way to think about that is going to be you have to have most of your Spark staked most of the time. If you're on vacation and your building stops building and you're gone for 2 days and you don't have a chance, you don't get the chance to relocate or reallocate that Spark, well, then you might be 2 days without having that Spark allocated. But if you're moving it regularly, you're going to qualify here regularly to sell your Sparklet if you've held on to it for the last 3 months. We'll be monitoring the results from the first experiment with Sparklet. Oh, I missed one more. Temporary store removal. Due to market fluctuations or internal factors, we may temporarily remove Sparklet from the store. So the idea here is for Sparklet to stay in the store as much as possible. But as the price of Sparklet goes up or goes down, Upland has the ability to remove Sparklet, the ability to add more Sparklet, the ability to leave Sparklet off the market for a while. So just keep that in mind. We're monitoring the results from the first experiment with Sparklet sales within Upland. Based on this, we will decide how future sales will look. Additionally, we will regularly review the rates we sell Sparklet for, ensuring the rates we sell at make sense. We're incredibly excited about this next phase in Upland's journey, and the future looks bright indeed. Get ready to level up and make the most of these new opportunities. It is a good opportunity. It is something people have been waiting for. It is something that people have been missing. Again, these Sparklet weekends, these opportunities for people to level up and get an enhanced benefit, they're something that people have enjoyed for a long time. Good to see you, Swarley. I'm glad you're here. The idea is that with this incentive, people are going to have more excitement and leveling up, but it's a more reward. It's a celebration of an accomplishment. And when we talk about these sales, this is how we haven't had Sparklet for sale for a while. There are plenty of people who have made complaints about, the ease or the lack thereof of purchasing on certain exchanges and bringing it to the game of Upland. One of the things that Upland has done really well that other ecosystems haven't, other Web3 ecosystems haven't, is been really good mobile first and be really good for non-native Web3 players, people who aren't on crypto exchanges, people who aren't going daily and checking on what the current market is for this crypto or that crypto, people who aren't in the position where they have 4 different wallets. If you don't have a wallet that you have to keep track of a seed phrase for, if you're somebody who came into Upland as a toilet game, that's something you play while you're sitting in the bathroom, whiling away a little bit of time, maybe doing something else while you're whiling away that time as well. This is your opportunity to have a new introduction into Web3 in a more broad way. That is, you can buy crypto, a crypto that could be bought and sold or exchanged and put on exchanges at some point. In game, in your little bathroom game, the bathroom time game that you play right now, and purchase that again without having to have a wallet, without having to have another coin that you're buying it from, without having to go to some exchange that you're not familiar with and set up some account that you're not ready to set up. You could, again, the USD price to purchase, but you could buy it inside of an app you're already playing. And that is a benefit here that people have been waiting to have. It does open up the sale and purchase of Sparklet to a larger group of people. And ultimately, it does tie that price to the current market activity, which means we have even more reason to look at the current market activity outside the game of Upland when we talk about the activity of what's being done in the game of Upland layer 1. Because, again, if the price goes up, the price in the game of Upland for Sparklet should go up. If the price of Sparklet goes down, over time, the price of Sparklet in the game of Upland should go down. Let's go take a look. Sparklet. There we go. Pop that up. Right there we go. Coin market cap is a great place to go. 0.5837. Let's look over the course of the last week. All right, so we see that is running on an average. You would look at that trajectory. It was up and then it came down again. On an average trajectory where it's pretty flat and pretty level. We know there's been a couple forces with that pushed Sparklet up temporarily, and after you have those forces go away, you sometimes have a price of a coin drop. Again, not telling you what that's going to happen in the future, but just looking at this historically, this is not surprising because we did have an incentive for people to import Sparklet that put an additional force on the price of Sparklet. Again, a little bit of force, market force, upwards trajectory on the price of Sparklet, so people could, or as people were buying more Sparklet to import into the game of Upland. As that incentive to bring Sparklet into the game of Upland was removed, we stopped having that contest, you kind of see that the price does come back down again. But realistically, we're at that 0.058 or 5.8 cents per Sparklet cost. And we've been there pretty well over the last couple months, more or less. We have set up here over the last 3 weeks with that 0.58 in that range. And we can see here, we see there was a quick dip, but we see that's running pretty quick here. And then if you look all the way back to the mid part of August, it was a little lower, 4.5 cents. We can look at historical pricing on this. We all know that it started a much higher, came down, has played a little bit around. And at one point, the 4 or 5 cents is where it's been flirting. But for the last month, it has been in the 5.5 range. So we're going to see the price here, the 5.8, 5.7 range when we see it listed in Upland. We know that price is going to be what we could otherwise buy it on the market. Like I said, Upland said there's going to be a slight adjustment because of the realities of being locked in the game of Upland for that period of time. So there'll be a slight discount if you buy it in Upland as opposed to buying it out of Upland. I'm going to see how strong that discount is. I know I want to buy it at 3 cents outside of Upland and bring some in. Depending on what the price looks like here, I might buy some. The cool thing is people have this idea of, how do I feel about Upland? How much money do I want to put into Upland at any given time? Ultimately, everyone's play is their own play. Ultimately, Upland is a game. I've said it for years. Now that we have a token here that I'm looking at a price where I could sell all my Sparklet for, if I chose to sell all my Sparklet at any given moment, it does look like we're talking about the value of Sparklet. But I'm looking at the buy value of Sparklet because ultimately, I haven't bought a lot of Sparklet outside the game of Upland. My use of Sparklet is primarily inside the game of Upland. That's where it's been. And if I want to increase my Sparklet holdings because I have specific things I want to do, I want to keep building, I want to have a factory, I want to build this or that, the other thing. And I know I've got a number of what's coming up. I've got 2 in harvest season. I've got 2 in the Wonderland season. I've got 1 additional one for the build-up event for New Orleans. So I know that I've got some Sparklet coming my way if I keep participating and acting and doing all the things I need to do to earn that Sparklet. It could be talking about 4.5, 5, 6 Spark between now and May. Now in March. There we go. Now in March. But for me, if I want to take up another, a 6, 8, 10,000 Sparklet, I could do that sooner by purchasing it. With the sale coming into the game of Upland, again, that saves kind of the middleman a little bit of going to the exchanges and then bringing it back into the game of Upland, assuming that your main goal is to use that Sparklet. That Sparklet is not entirely locked in the game of Upland. There are some restrictions about pouring it back out again, which means it's going to be in the game of Upland for the next 90 days. That's fine. Fine by me. That's my plan anyways. But after those 90 days, if I chose to, I could bring it back out of the game of Upland. Easy enough there. I will put a couple other notes here when I come back and take a look at this announcement. The one note I do want to put out there is this is an interesting thing in another way. Again, the idea of the price on the exchange and what you can do for it. We know that with Sparklet, there is a clause or there is a section that deals with the utility of Sparklet, and that Sparklet's utility can be adjusted accordingly as the value of Sparklet changes. So if it goes up too high or it goes up very high, instead of saying, oh my gosh, now it's cost blank to do blank in Upland, or blank to buy blank amount of a Sparklet to do blank and Upwind could increase the utility of Sparklet to say, oh, it costs blank now, so now each Sparklet has blank utility, increasing its utility. Conversely, it could decrease the utility based on the price of Sparklet. That hasn't happened yet. There's no guarantee that Upwind will do that. But at the moment, I do want to point this out. At the moment, if you're buying Sparklet at 5.5 cents per Sparklet, the equivalent of about $55 per Spark. Again, this is not telling you what the price is going to be. This is based on where the market is right now and what that might look like when Sparklet is for sale tomorrow. But this might mean, or this might spell out the opportunity for you to buy Sparklet at about $55 per Spark or $55 per 1,000 Sparklet, which could put you in a position where you're buying close to 9 times as much Spark as you could have when we had the previous Spark sales when they were $460 per Spark. As of right now, Spark has the same utility, as of right now, until it changes, has the same utility as it did when Spark was $460 per Spark. This is your opportunity to buy a bunch of Spark at a much lower price. You can look at the market and you can say there's a reason why it's lower because of the prices out on the exchanges. But that does mean right now, if you have a project that's similar to what you wanted to do 6 months ago, build that out. I could have procured the Spark at a much lower price so I can do that, or I could change the scale of my ambitions to do a lot more with the same amount of USD purchase. That is a key point to keep in mind. And I do want to also put one more thing here. This also means that, as I kind of said before, if you were somebody or you know somebody who was hesitant to go to exchanges and buy Sparklet as a crypto, they are new to the game of Upland or they're coming into the game of Upland and they want to have more Spark. But again, they don't want to do the crypto aspect. They don't want to go out of the game. They could buy Spark with its intended utility as its intended utility, not buying it as a token, buying it as a utility inside the game of Upland. Is the sale in USD? I am over the ETH to get Sparklet. It looks like this sales in USD according to Upland. That does sound like it's going to be in USD. It's going to be in the app. And you're right, Blue. The language as far as this is what the price is going to be in USD wasn't listed there. And I agree. If we are going to be buying it in the game of Upland, you're trying to avoid the idea of crypto. And I would say that's the point of buying Sparklet in the game of Upland. You are looking at buying it in USD. And yes, you're right. It doesn't say USD here. But that's what I'd expect. I expect the sale to be in USD tomorrow. Again, if I come and look at the game of Upland over here in Get UpX, over here in specials, I will see that I got a couple things to register for the Stock Car Pro Series. We'll get into that in a second. And tomorrow we should have the Sparklet come over here in probably going to either be extras or specials. We know it's one of the two areas. And we'll see what that price is tomorrow, Blue. And we'll have to take a lot of comments on if they do it in ETH only. That'll be a little bit of a that's my face, and that is getting slapped. And that's because, again, the promise of having an in-game sale is so that you don't have to play in the crypto market if you don't want to play in the crypto market. You are ultimately a Upland native, not a Web3 native. You are somebody who is coming to a mobile-first game to play a game. There are assets that you can buy. There's enhanced utility by buying certain things, aka Sparklet, but you're still not thinking of it as going to exchanges and maintaining your own wallet and learning how to do this, that, and the other as far as different blockchains and different exchange rules. So I do really hope that that's what we see, and I think that for the best available information, that's what we'll see tomorrow. Hopefully, Blue. Just Swarley saying that because of work and other times being sick, I didn't get a chance to see it. Well, we missed you, Swarley. I'm glad you were able to be here. It's a big day. It's a big announcement, and I'm looking forward to see what the ramifications are here in the next couple days. All right, jumping into the other announcement again. That was the big one. We'll look at the small one. Tomorrow there will be a sale. The sale is going to be for week 9. Registrations open now for week 9 race bundles, with them starting tomorrow, Friday, October 4th at 9 a.m. PT. Again, that's when the sale is going to start. Don't miss your opportunity to grab a piece of the action from the track. Register now. So there's not as much detail as there just was on the sale. as the sale of our NFLPA Week 5. But let's take a look and see what that is by pricing here. Eeny, meeny, miny. There it is in specials. So we see the NFLPA bundles went out today, sold out. Look at that. Harvest season pass still open. Here was their registrations, and oh my gosh, we're gonna zoom in because old eyes be old eyes. Stock Car Pro starter bundle. There's 300 of them at $9.99. There are 100 of the Stock Car Pro bundle at $25, $24.99. The Stock Car Pro Pass bundle is $49.99. 100 of those available as well. The Essentials, again, 5,000 UPIX. The Stock Car Pro Starter bundle is also available as 10,000 UPIX, 300 of those. And then the Pro bundle is 25,000 UPIX, 100 of those. We did see with the NFLPA, saw that today, that the pricing came down, or kind of in a way, I would say it came down, but ultimately what it meant is the USD side wasn't there, just the UPIX side. Here we still have the USD and the UPIX side by side. Why did Upwind make a change with NFLPA and not with Stock Car Pro? I'm going to make the guess that it's based on what the sell-through is, that people are buying more in the USD side with more on the Stock Car Pro than the NFLPA. I expect that is something that may continue to happen. If it continues to happen, then we may continue to see on the Stock Car Pro side USD options, on the NFLPA side less USD options, specifically on the pass only for a USD option, the rest in UPIX. And I think it's great that we have places to spend our UPIX, especially since these are assets that they have as much value as people want to put into them. In the UPIX side of things, I think that UPIX is the same thing. UPIX has as much value as people want to put into it. And ultimately, if people are happy with the price in UPIX and those are selling out quickly, which they are, but it's not selling out at all in the USD, I think that we have to figure out where that pricing is on the USD, and maybe Upwind plays around with that a little bit, and maybe they just decide not to sell it in USD like they did on the NFLPA side. That's something for Upwind to titrate and play and figure out on their own. But it is nice to see that we're back in action. The reminder I like to make when we talk about Stock Car Pro Series sales is that the goal, or one of the goals, is to get a pass. You get the pass, which is a memento. You're able to go and participate in the car sale. The car sale is the same thing as I have to register for a spot in the sale, but I have to whitelist. You whitelist in by having the memento. You go to the sale. Maybe you're lucky, maybe you don't, to click and buy that Stock Car Pro Series car pass. And then you have to exchange that and see what you get. And if you get lucky, you may have a Pro Series, you may have a trainer, you may have a Pro trainer, eeny, meeny competition. There we go. That works for me. So we do have that opportunity for having different cars coming out of that car pass bundle. But the other thing is, if you're really a Stock Car Pro Series fan and you want to have the legits as a collectible, that's your opportunity there as well. But again, it's all built towards that idea of getting the mementos. You get the mementos, you also get a chance to buy the Stock Car Pro Series car pass. That'll be happening shortly after the Pro sale. Easy enough. The Pro bundle sale, I should say. Easy enough. It really should be. Again, this is something that's not the first time we've had these. We continue to have iterations of these sales and how they work. But the Stock Car Pro Series sale and the NFLPA sale, they have a normal way that they work at this point between buying and then when you can exchange your passes for mementos. And in the case of the Stock Car Pro Series, that secondary sale that happens based on whitelisting into that sale. A couple other things I don't want to forget, I should say. The collections update, there is still one outstanding collection in Sao Paulo. Remember, Thursdays are the day that if we have if we have vanilla collections that are released, if those collections sell out, that's when we find out that those vanilla collections, what they are, what they apply to, and then actually have them turned on in the game. until that collection sells out. We don't know what that collection is. We don't have the opportunity to use it. It's not listed on the game. It's unavailable. P.S. It is, if it is not minted out during harvest season by November 15th, it will be released on its own. But it gives you an incentive in Sao Paulo to go and mint out the rest of those properties because you want the collection to turn and see if you want the collection. Or it means that there is at least one collection that has unminted properties available. You could be minting into a collection. It's exciting. It's exciting for a lot of people. And, the chase, the quest for collections is something that drives a lot of people. I will put here to remind us, minting is something that is done in UPIX, so it's something to do with the UPIX. I mean, I'm sitting on 750,000 UPIX right now. I've been for a while. It's just because I'm choosing where I'm putting it at this point. I would have had the opportunity to buy a theater. I would have had the opportunity to buy a cafe if I had gotten lucky and gotten a good placement in those sales lines because I had the right amount of UPIX in my account. And that's how some sales work. But if you have some UPIX burning a hole in your pocket, Sao Paulo has an open vanilla collection that may or may not be in an area that you might want to have anyways. And if you happen to mint down there, you might get lucky and find out that you minted into a collection. Otherwise, obviously, we are in full swing in the season of harvest, the harvest season. We are going to continue on for the month, and I don't have anything big I'm looking at around the corner, a big speculation, big thought, what's coming next, other than to say that we have other things to come next. I mean, ultimately, we are in the middle of the NFLPA season. We are continuing with more races of the Stock Car Pro season. Stock Car Pro season. And I don't know, maybe we'll get totems back sometime. We'll have to see. For tonight, I will say thank you so much for being here. Ooh, Swarley, good to see you as a mayor. Didn't Upland say in the beginning that if the collections weren't minted out by the end of the season, they would reveal it anyway at the end of the season? That was his season. Yes and no. That is some releases, and they specifically said if it's not revealed by this time, blank date. It was the 15th of November for Sao Paulo. It was whatever date it was in September for Paris, which is why eventually we had those collections pop in, which we did. We had those collections pop in. I think there was 2 that weren't minted in time, so poof, they came in. But it is a good incentive on Upland's part to continue to encourage people to go and mint those areas out. And of course, having that cutoff date, that still ensures that we're going to find out what that collection is anyways at some point, which is nice because it means that we're not waiting around forever for it. But again, thank you so much for being here Monday through Friday, 7:30 p.m. PT, Monday through Friday. Tomorrow's Friday, last day of the week. And I'm going to take the weekend off. What do you know? For this coming weekend, we'll see how we go into it. We'll hopefully have some fun tomorrow. Hopefully some good announcements into next week, trying to get back into the swing of sneaking in some interviews with people in Upland who are running this event or that event, people who are building communities. It's been a while since we've done any good ones, and hoping to do some starting next week. But for tonight, thank you so much for being here. If you're the Upland Cafe in Discord, feel free to unmute your mics. The floor is yours.